spend some time with the dead.
On demand almost. We'd be like, hey, can you like touch the duck or make it go off? And it would just start lighting up and going crazy.
Why should we be afraid of you?
Hello and welcome to What Goes Bump Tonight. I'm your host, Riley Clark, and alongside me, as always, is
Trevor Jensen.
And today, our special guest, hidden in the shadows, Paranormal.
Let's go.
Yo, yo, yo.
Our fellow investigatory friends. Okay. So, I know we talked about this, but you are from one of the Dakotas, if I'm correct? No, I'm kidding.
Other side.
So, yeah, why don't we just start off, like let's do the basic stuff, like where are you from? How long have you been doing this?
Originally I'm from Texas, but I've been living in North Carolina for the last 10 years. With my wife, we moved, I think after we got married, over to the East Coast, North Carolina, specifically in Jacksonville, North Carolina, which is like 15 minutes away from the beaches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But investigating wise, I would say almost 3 years now. No, it'll be 4 years. 4 years.
Always a believer though? Like before you got into the investigating part of it?
Oh, do I have stories for you?
Oh, we've got plenty of time tonight.
Them.
No, paranormal has been part of my life for as long as I can remember. Same with the wife. She's been a psychic medium since birth and has talked to spirits even as a child. And all the way up till now, where she's in the last about 4 years or so, she's really dived deep into her abilities and become a jack of all trades when it comes to psychic stuff. Yeah. But that's why she's important to our team. Her most potent skill is remote viewing. But what makes us unique is how I add to the team, what I specifically do.
Okay. I do have to ask you, because we've been touching on this subject for quite a while now, especially since we've had the new reality on, because Sean being a medium, he opened us up to a lot of different things. Do you personally believe now, being in a relationship closely with someone who's a psychic medium, do you see that everyone truly has this type of capability? Like, are you able to open
Is it
up
more of a muscle?
Yeah. You will use an analogy. Can everyone play basketball?
Theoretically,
mostly.
Yes.
I would think so, yeah.
Attempt it. Some of us are right. Some of us are pretty good. And then you have your NBA players, and then you have your prodigies like Michael Jordan and the great names that we will remember forever and ever. So we're all capable of psychic abilities. I think the more time you spend with the paranormal, you become attuned to it. So you start picking up on the feelings that you're recognizing at certain locations. Versus my wife, who's like automatically tuned to the other side. She can hear it. She can feel it. She can talk to them. She gets messages, she gets downloads, she can ask to project, remote view, go to the other places, see spirits and stuff like that, talk to the dead. Anything and anything you can think of in any of the psychic realm of stuff, she's capable of doing.
Yeah. Do you have any theories on why you think that is? Or like I know some people sometimes will think, near-death experiences are a very that you can draw the parallels where it's if you had a near-death experience in some point of your life, you're more accustomed to having that type of I guess view into the supernatural and the spiritual realms.
Some of us were born to do this. Some of us were made to do this in a sense like that. Others have to learn. Those who are born, it kind of always comes natural. It's almost like easy as breathing or thinking. It's just
second nature.
Yeah. Those who go through some kind of traumatic experience awaken or unlock something in their mind in order to gain access to the other side. It makes it easier the more near-death experiences, because the more times your soul goes back and forth, you carry pieces of the other side. Hence why you start able to hear it better, feel it better, because you were there for ever how many minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way of putting it.
I feel like I relate to that so much, because I
Agreed.
feel like us personally, the more investigations we're starting to go on, the more we can feel connections being built between spirits, almost to where we definitely can sense when they're actually present with us. 100%. We almost can call it at this point. Like there's definitely something here right now, without a shadow of a doubt.
Have you got the ringing in the ears yet?
I
A
can't
few
say that
times.
I've
Right ear.
offhand have had that experience, but
I've noticed with other investigators that I've been with a couple of times that they start gaining this ringing kind of alertion.
Like you take that tuning fork and you just bang it real hard, and it's like,
Or like after a concert, your ears like ringing and stuff
that
like
too.
that.
Yeah, that's another really good way of putting it.
But it doesn't come from outside; it almost comes from inside. So you like your PM, it'll start from this side of your ear out. Usually, if the right ear rings, it's a warning something's dangerous around. Left ear rings, that's telling you to listen. Something's important can happen. Listen.
that's something I'll have to pay attention and see if I can have that kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things too, where you just like probably like we'll just blow it off. Like it's
Yeah,
nothing, you know. It's one of those.
exactly.
Like maybe listening to my headphone too loud in this ear, you know, or something.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
What did I
Like,
do
maybe I
today?
had the recorder too close and I just blew my shit out for a second. I do have to ask this. So how long you have a podcast too, correct?
Yes, Hidden Shadows podcast was kind of the catalyst for the Hidden Shadows Paranormal. The whole reason why we got into investigating in the first place was because of the podcast. Now, Hidden Shadows podcast was in the original idea in the beginning. The original idea was another podcast called Not Your Average Conversation, which is basically me and the missus just talking about random things, from everything from pop culture to movies to music, anything. But we found that a lot more people listen to the paranormal episodes than they listen to anything else. And my background changed for a second.
That was my bad. I was
Yeah.
trying to see if I could make the green like hue go away, but nope.
And then we decided to dump NYAC and just rebrand us as a paranormal podcast, since that seems to be our main thing. Because between me and the wife, we have enough experiences to probably write a couple of novels, if not more. Just
Love
from
that.
everything I've experienced, everything she's experienced, and everything that's still happening to this day. But Hidden Shadows podcast was born 2020, I think June, and we've been doing it since then. One of the many podcasts that was born out of the pandemic, who survived afterwards.
The pandemic, babies.
Yeah. And it was September of 2020 where my life changed for what it is now.
Yeah.
My ability, yet to be 100% defined, awoken or came to me. And what it is that I have an ability to control, manipulate, change, and imprison the energies of the other side.
You want to care to elaborate a little more? Because this sounds very interesting.
It's interesting, hard to comprehend.
It's like one of those like concepts where it's like, okay, I definitely think that this is on the level of like reality still. Like this isn't like completely like we're in like imagination land, where it's like, no, I definitely think that everybody has capabilities of like doing certain things that like it's one of those like they're gifts that are bestowed upon people, and like you don't understand them fully, and if we don't have them, it's hard to understand them.
Yeah, I can almost guarantee. I know you guys have been in the paranormal for some time. This podcast goes on for what, 5 years?
Getting there, yeah.
Investigators for almost just as long. I can almost guarantee you've never heard of a story like mine before.
No, probably not, honestly.
First time.
Now, it started in my hands.
Yeah.
With a sensation. And it allows me to feel. So when I'm near a spirit or entity, the sensation feels like when your hands go to sleep. That tingling, numbing sensation. Now it starts at the center of my palm, spreads out through my fingers. The closer or stronger the entity is.
Yeah.
And I call that charging. My hand is charging up. It's charging. And then that was the beginning of it. Then I learned to differentiate. Left hand is a human spirit, something on the positive side of the energy spectrum. My right hand is something dark, something evil, something on the negative side of the spectrum. So whatever hand is charging, the sensation energy around tells me what's there. Not only can I feel like a natural EMF detector, I can actually pull the energy in, almost like creating a vacuum that sucks the energy of the entity into my hand, where in the beginning, I would pull the energy into myself, filter it, which the sensation felt like a chill running up your spine, and then it lead me at a breath, like it'd be neutral energy. That practice started taking a toll on me. My wife noticed that it started turning the hair on the right side of my face, my beard, and my head gray, like
Oh,
prematurely aging me.
yeah.
Luckily, it didn't last long. I would say around this March of the next year, in 2021, after we joined up with the paranormal team, there was a member of that team who had a vision of a King Solomon replica, sorry, the King Solomon symbol that was on King Solomon's ring. And we didn't know what it was, but luckily at the time we had a member who was we had a member of the team who was Jewish, so he automatically recognized it as King Solomon's symbol.
Huh.
And I was like, let me look that up. So I remember hearing the story of King Solomon told in the three Abrahamic faiths. King Solomon was, of course, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, all known as the same person. But what was told, story told about him differed. He was able to imprison 70 demons in a ring, using somatic magic that was bestowed upon him by God. Now, in Judaism and Christianity, they say demon, but in Islam, they say jinn. So that's the difference between the story, but the same thing happens.
I'll say same concepts for sure.
Yeah. So he was able to do that. So that gave me the idea. This energy I'm pulling in, can I?
Is that the right symbol?
Yeah, that's the right symbol.
Pretty wild.
He saw that symbol in his mind when he was dreaming, so he didn't know what it was until, of course, we had a Jewish member on the team.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy though. Holy shit!
So I learned to pull the energy in, and then I bought a King Solomon replica ring. Nothing special, the steel and silver.
Yeah.
And I said simply into the ring, and the energy left my hand and flew into the ring. And I kept doing this over and over again, over and over again. And I was wondering if it was even working. But of course, my wife, who's in tune to the side, heard screaming coming from the ring, yelling, swearing, all this like nastiness coming from it. She goes, "What have you been doing?" And I explained to her what was happening. And she tuned into the ring, and she said it reminded her of a prison. Like all these inmates in like a prison cell yelling at the same time.
Yeah.
Discussing and swearing and yelling, stuff like that.
And she wasn't privy to you didn't tell her like, hey, I'm gonna go buy this ring for this purpose whatsoever, No,
because I thought you might have something against you're creating a haunted object. You're gonna make the house.
Yeah. That's even more wild.
Yeah. So I've been using the ring for the last 3 years. This ring to be specific.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, nothing special. And this has been the prison for everything that I pulled. Granted, I only ever pull anything dark. I never take anything light off the field. It feels kind of cruel to do so. But dark, evil, I never give it a second chance. Second I feel something, it's grabbed, it's instant. But through practice, meditation, getting in contact with my spirit guides, I learned to see through my third eye, and I could see what I was doing. It wasn't a vacuum. There were strings of energy leaving my fingertips, firing out, wrapping around the entity like a boa constrictor, pulling and condensing the energy of the entity to about the size of a baseball. With that in my hand, I force it into the ring. And I've been doing that. Every investigation in the 32 home cases that I've done over the last 3 years, 28 have involved demons. 32, of course, was the entirety, but 28 involved demons. The others were just human entities. But I don't mean to say this to be egotistical or cocky in any way.
Yeah.
But nothing has been able to stop me.
Right.
Nothing. Doesn't matter how old, doesn't matter how powerful, doesn't matter how high ranking, doesn't matter what it is. Every single time that I grab something, pull it towards me, imprison it, it's the end. It's done. It's over with.
It's finito.
And what it allowed me, evolving my ability, is that now I can actually, the last year or so, I can send my tendrils through the phone. If it's in real time, like how we're talking right now, you can reach through the phone into your place, pull whatever's there, bring it to my place, and put it in the ring. Hence why it allows me to do, out of those 32 home cases, 2 have been in person.
Yeah.
So 30 cases over the phone, like we're talking right now, I have helped countless families, countless people, all dealing with oppression or something in their home or portal or something dark attacking them, going at them. The worst of the worst case, been the most profound, was a woman named Dal. She's in Canada. Her son was being oppressed by a spirit of a witch with 3 demons in her stead. And this it got so bad for her son. Granted, he was 10 at the time.
Young,
That
yeah.
he couldn't walk. He was
Whoa.
dragging himself on the floor. And her, like, literally her marriage was on the line. Like, her husband were fighting all the time.
Yeah.
She was scared for her son. Like she was scared that he would have to get, like, her words, lobotomized or something. But
yeah, that's a little extreme, but
yeah. But so luckily, I knew there's a team in Canada called Unknown Paranormal who I've been working with for the last 2 years, and yeah, I've been pulling through the phone for about 2 years. Yeah, I learned it pretty quick after a year or so. And they get in contact with Dal and her family and said, "Hey, I know last time we talked, because they originally went there to do investigation, but she said, no, I don't want to do this and stuff like that." Kind of like her against her faith and stuff like that. So they kind of just went away. Told her, "Hey, go back to her and mention me. Basically explain what I can do. See what that helps." So she gives it a shot. She points the camera outside her house. I pull one of those suckers out, describe it to her, and she gasps, because that's how her son describes it.
that's even more fucking weird.
Yeah. End up pulling the 3 demons, the witch, closing a portal the size of a swimming pool in her backyard, clearing her son's mind forest out, and helping everything that. And then literally the next day, she messaged us saying, "I don't know how to thank you, but it's like it never happened."
Really?
It's like it never happened.
Interesting.
And I literally brought her on the podcast to tell her story. It's actually on a podcast called Dal's Story. And you hear from her perspective how things were. And it's still to this day, I don't think she told us everything, because it doesn't go a month before she messages thanking us every single month. And this, like, literally this month was a year anniversary of us housebreaking.
Wow.
Like big long message saying how much she was grateful and all that stuff. So I was thinking it had to be far worse than what she let on for her to remember this so adamantly.
Yeah, to be that, like, prevalent in her
Traumatized.
mind afterwards. And I mean, it's so interesting too, because like we did online investigations, is what we called it. But I mean, realistically, these are we're talking through portals. This is electricity, which to me helps manifest whatever energy these spirits are. So it's like I don't think this is really that wild at all. I think that what you said literally lines up with how we do too.
I have some questions for you.
Of course, everyone does.
No, and they'll be interesting because, like, I don't throw it that far out of the possibility that people have abilities that are not fully understood by us. We don't even understand our oceans, let alone space or the forests.
We don't know what a conscious mind is.
There's so much even about humans that we don't know, and we will never figure out, because I think a lot of those answers were burned in the Library of Alexandria. That's just my personal opinion, but that's what I think. A lot of these secrets, I think, pharaohs and everything, the reason they were so guarded and respected sometimes, probably because they had abilities like this where they could capture these evil spirits and do what they please with these negative energies or positive energies, whatever it may be. When you're in this state, can you see like a different reality essentially? Like, do things, because you mentioned there was a portal in the swimming pool, does it show itself to you, or is it just like something that
like a door?
like
that's how I always imagine
sense?
it, like a swirl or a door.
Yeah. Well, I've gotten okay of looking through the third eye, like seeing as much as I can see on the other side, but I have to close my eyes in order to do so. But it's still like looking for shadows in the dark, right? It's still, I don't get everything 100% look. The best way I can describe it is essentially that's like these tendrils, the color, the strings, they have color. The right hand, the strings are red. The left hand are blue. So when they stretch through the ether or the other side, they almost illuminate wherever they're going, kind of like glow sticks in the dark. So I can see what illuminates through it. And then when I grab the entity, then I can see where it is, but I have to go by feeling. Do I have to go by sight? So I can't see them.
Interesting.
I'm not a psychic or medium. I can't see or hear them.
Right,
the best way to describe it is like psychic mediums, like my wife, they pick up the signal like Wi-Fi routers, right? They get a signal wirelessly. I'm like hardline. I literally have to plug in order to get a signal what's going on. But the portal, what it looked like to me, what it felt like, it was immense amount of dark energy charging my hand, but it was moving like a circle, swirling. And it almost looked like a pool of like black tar and oil just spinning negatively in a certain area of I guess, on the ground. And that's what it looks like to me, a negative portal. And that's what it was. But closing those suckers, no. The bigger they are, the more hard they are. And it's almost like trying to grab a rubber disc that's like inch thick and squeezing it shut, right? Squeeze it into a hot dog shape. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. And I've closed, I know I've lost count of how many portals already, but a lot of them. And granted, the big ones are rare. Small ones seem to pop up all the time in different places, randomly too. Like I had a woman have one above her garage. What was it doing there? They make any sense? Like one on the side of a wall. They seem to appear in random spaces sometimes, but no, they're around and about. And mirrors, not essentially a portal. People say, oh, mirrors can be portals and stuff like that. They're more like a hiding spot. I come to find that some entities, when they're running from me, they jump into a mirror to try to hide. But I have to reach into the mirror, grab what's there, and pull it out.
Huh. That's interesting. I didn't think about that. But
I
a
always
mirror
thought of
would
them as
be
hideaways.
a mirror, yeah. Like, oh, gosh, mirrors are so interesting because, like,
We
obviously, like
encountered a very
portal,
dangerous one.
yeah, we did encounter. We had nothing happen personally, but the stories behind it are pretty terrifying. That's in our last video. Shout out to the chat, by the way. Y'all are absolutely amazing. We don't want to forget about you. We haven't even engaged with you yet. We're sorry, but he's telling such interesting stories.
One of those like prolific, like, oh my God, this is like, I love these topics so much because we can really like deep dive this stuff. And it's something that we don't really get to explore these avenues very often because it's like people always think of these as being like really taboo or like very hard to like grasp.
No, as I always tell my story, I've told it numerous times already, but I say I don't expect anyone to believe me off the bat. And believe me, I can't. If I was someone that told me this, I would have a hard time believing.
Like reservations.
Yeah, it sounds way out there, and I don't have say I don't. I'm not saying I don't have any physical proof. I don't have much physical proof. There's a couple of videos on our Instagram, Hidden Shadows Paranormal. There's one video of me as a body cam shot, and you hear me see my hand out, and I pull something, and then the camera, I aim my hand at my hand, and you see my arm, entire hand and arm, glowing with this white mist around it.
Yeah, and it's like that's unexplainable. That is an anomaly. Like that does not happen.
Yeah, and you hear me say "gotcha," but
love that.
Yeah, I talk shit to them when I'm out there. But the mind forest, that's how I explain your subconscious part of your mind. It is the place where all your darkness, your trauma, your negative emotions dwell, either put there consciously or subconsciously, but that's where it is. And everybody's mind forest is different. I've entered a lot of mind forests, and everything is different from the foliage, from the type of trees, from how tall they are, from the time of day, from the color of the moon, whether it's full, half, or a whole. It's just every single mind forest I've been in is different, and what's in it is different too. Like sometimes the negative energy takes shape in stuff, in animals and people, and just like tar, or think like stuck to the trees and undulate off the ground. But I can find that I can pull that stuff out of your mind force, like basically cleaning out your basement.
Right.
And
yeah. Some spring cleaning.
Yeah. When I do that, your main spirit guide comes forward. Not your only one, but your main one. And I've talked to a kaleidoscope of people, from strongmen from the circus in the 1920s, from actors, from knights, from Vikings, from gunslingers, from doctors, from ballerinas, from dancers, from you name it, gangsters, from knife throwing guys. Everyone has a different spirit guide meant for them. And I can't explain to you why you have a certain one, but one thing I was able to figure out is that if you have a warrior or a fighter for a main spirit guide, you're going to be met with a lot of conflict in your life, a lot of consistent battles, you would say. And I find a lot of paranormal investigators have warriors for spirit guides. Not all of them, but most of them. So that's the only thing I seem to find a pattern of anyway.
Right.
But the ability to allow me to look into the mind force, allow me to look into the ring and go inside and see what is there. Do you want to know what it sounds like?
Of course we do.
Yeah.
As are fans of Slipknot?
Yeah. I'll say I am.
The opening track to Iowa, 515, times that by 100, and that's what it sounds like.
It's just super sped up. Oh man.
Not sped up, times it by 100 times.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Layered on top of each other.
Yeah, like
100
that's
times.
how many.
Yeah, dude, that's a cacophony of craziness right there.
Yeah, what it looks like is a forest after a nuclear blast. All the trees
Shit.
are black and like burnt to a crisp, no foliage. The sky is overcast. The ground is covered in ash and dirt. There are hundreds of different shadow figures walking around, screaming, yelling. Some of them with horns, some of them don't. Some are different sizes. Some resemble animals. Some look like elemental tree kind of things. They're all different, and they're all very pissed. Yeah.
I would be pissed too, honestly.
But that prison, at last report, I have 87 confirmed demons in that ring.
That's insane, though.
Yeah,
87 demons inside.
And out of all of these, you said it was 31 house calls that you've
32.
done. 32. So like, how many of these have reached out to you and like said like, hey, we don't experience anything anymore? Like all of them, I would say. Like that's insane. And it's like I'm not trying to disprove anything here. It's just like that's really fucking cool. Where it's like I've never encountered anything quite as like I guess stunning is a good way of saying it. Like it's different. Cool.
Like psychics, mediums, investigators, priests, shamans, spirit workers. They're necessary, but all that best case scenario is push it out of the house onto someone else.
What could we call this though? Like this gift that you have. Like if you know, like if we have these mediums and these psychics, it's like we got to come up with a really cool like acronym for it, where it's like, hey, like I am this.
Oh, I have 6 names.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I have 6 titles, 6 names I've earned over this time, and I'll get to that in a minute. But what I do is permanent. What I pull from someone's home, it doesn't have a chance to go.
Yeah, it's irreversible.
It's imprisoned forever. It's never escaping. Hence why someone asked me one time, do I have a name for the ring? I was like, well, at the time, I didn't think about it. I just called it the ring. But then I thought about it for a little bit, and I found a perfect name. Cien Refuergo, which is Latin for no escape.
I like that.
Yeah. But
so Creepy Confidential asks, was this a lifetime thing or did it just appear? You said earlier that it kind of just arrived.
Oh yeah, I was not having anything like this in my entire. I'm 36 now, and that's happened to me when I was 33. I was 33. Literally, my birthday's in August, so September, literally the next month. I can't remember what the exact date. I know it was like a teen date, so like either
later in the month,
so middle of the month or something like that. But it just started in my hands. I started feeling it, things around. I thought maybe something was medically wrong with me because my hands were tingling, but it only would come and go. Like, okay, well, it's not happening. And then my wife, of course, she's like, oh, there's a spirit over there. And I put my hand in that direction and my hand was charging. Like, oh, I can feel them.
Yeah.
And I started figuring out like which hand is which. And when my wife would say something very evil is over there, my right hand would charge. Or she's talking to a spirit, my left hand would charge. So no, September 2020 is when this awoken or came to me, either one. But I've never had this my entire life. And I've been involved in paranormal my entire life. But this ability, no. This is new. And I've gone from nothing into the most dangerous person in the world for dark entities in a matter of 3 years.
Right.
Yeah. But no, if you want to classify me as something, believe me, I've been trying to figure out. And the closest I have to anything is a shaman. There have been stories of shamans.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. There were stories of shamans in the Nordic, Haitian, Aztec face that were capable of imprisoning dark entities and their staffs.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, so this is not something entirely new. Granted, those shamans spent years practicing, learning, meditation, going through lesson plans, stuff like that, to finally get the ability to do that. I just
I'll add to that because that's kind of what I like mentioned earlier when I was talking about Egypt and the pharaohs and everything. Like on top of that, like they're being trained by someone who did this for however many years they stayed alive, 40, 50, I don't know. We don't know how long people back then were really staying alive for, right? So let's just generalize like 60 years. So they were doing this for 60 years, learning how to do this, coming up with new methods, getting stronger at it, getting more practice, being able to teach the next generation how to do it better. they're improving on the skills. You know what I mean? Like over the time, who knows how talented they were at doing this. And like you were mentioning earlier, everyone has a spirit guide. Was your spirit guide one of these? Like
the
potentially?
four that I have, I always forget about the fourth. Well, she's kind of new. The three main ones that showed themselves first was Azul. He's an Aztec Jaguar warrior. He said his name was too long to pronounce, so he said, just call me Azul, which is Spanish for blue. The second who came came right before my first ever oppression case, was a Vikinger named Ogen. He's bald, he's got a big beard, sounds like anybody from the show Vikings. He's, out of my spirit guides, he's the one who's always ready for war. He's like, let's go, let's fight, let's go. He's always ready for a battle. The third was a gunslinger from the late 1800s named Harold. Cowboy hats, long duster, guns on his belt, red bandana around his neck, dark shirt, like dusty pants and boots and stuff like that. He's got a bit of a scruff. Now I would call it a beard. He sounds like he sounds almost identical to Arthur from Red Dead 2.
I love that.
Right? He has that low Texas gruntle kind of tone when he talks.
Yeah, he don't take no guff from no
one. He's
hit the bank tonight.
Out of the three, he's the most like sound. Like he wants to take everything easy. Like, hey, let's not overthink this. Let's find a simpler way to get it done. Kind of that kind of mindset. And the fourth is a Native American woman named Nahananu. She came to me before we investigated a location that had a skinwalker there. Or at least, sorry, the spirit of one, not an actual live one. This one's been already been dead. She came to me then, and she's kind of like the mom figure amongst the group. She has like kind of like mom vibe, more of like a teacher versus less a warrior. But those four are my mind forest that I built when I meditate. I built a place so when I meditate, I go there and we discuss things. We all sit around the table. And originally it was around a campfire thing, but I kind of evolved it and built a longhouse. And I modeled this longhouse after the longhouse in Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah.
That I modeled it right after that. So it looks exactly like that. So I built that in my mind forest in order for a place for us to meet. We all sit around this table discussing my ability, cases, things of the future, theories, whatever. And they guide me on any kind of ideas and stuff like that. They're also the ones that forewarn me, like the sensation on the side of my head. Hey, check this out. Hey, look over here. Pay attention. Tell this person this. That kind of like thought. And usually I know it's them talking when I don't have to think about it. Like if you ask a question in your head and boom, you get an automatic answer, that's them. That's them talking.
Yeah, it's like pushing the intrusive thought.
Yeah, that's me thinking about it. If I have to think about it, that's not me. That's me thinking about the question. When I ask instant answer, that's me talking to somebody. So that's them talking to me. And it's not like a voice in my head. It's like it's a sensation, a feeling of emotion. Like I know what they're trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're connected to them in a way that like
you're hardwired into the mainframe.
Exactly. They're a part of your spiritual being and everything. That's really interesting. I do have to ask because like theoretically they probably had a past life, right? Unless your mind completely built their enigma. Did they have like a spiritual guide that came forward that like this is advice that they got from their spiritual guide like type thing?
If so, they don't remember. Or it's not important because
they don't have like cognitive like memory of their own lives.
They do a little bit.
Experiences.
Because how I plan investigations almost like battle plans. And they give advice, especially Ogen, because he's been in so many wars. It's not even funny. He says he was around the time after Ragnar. He says he remembers the legends of Ragnar, but he never knew the man, never worked with him, never like that. He just remembers people telling the stories of Ragnar, but he maybe existed 100 years afterwards. But he's been in plenty of wars, he said. He can't remember the exact places or what, but he remembers fighting. Same for Harold. He remembers hunting down people as a bounty hunter, most likely, or a gunslinger, or a gun for hire. He says he knows he was always paid to kill and always paid to find people. So, and Azul, Aztec Jaguar warrior, of course, was born in war. He was trained in it. More like that. So they're all warriors in their own mindset. So they all give me different point of views of how to go through an investigation. Because the way I investigate is not like how you guys would or any other investigator in the world. I've always said, well, from what I've learned, is that there's 3 kinds of paranormal investigation teams out there. They're the clout chasers, who only care about getting famous from paranormal investigating. They don't care about the spirits that they piss off or the houses they go to and leave a person with more damaged spirits than to say when they first got there. They're all they care about is getting that shot, getting famous. They don't care about anything else. Then you have the actual paranormal investigators who want to find the answer to the question, what happens to us after we die? And not only that, but prove to everyone that this shit is real. The stuff I experience is real. Look, it's real. The ghosts and stuff like that are real. And so much so that they collect the evidence. Even, yes, they still do shows because they want people to see around the world that this stuff is real. Then there's a third. And this is where my team is singular in this, in the third. We go not to collect information, not to get evidence, not to do anything of the sorts. We go there to eradicate as much dark entities as possible and eradicate all dark entities and help as many spirits as we can cross over, making the location that we were just at 90%, if not more, less haunted than when we found it. And we've been doing that for the last 3 years, clearing out locations every single time. Because as much as I can imprison these dark things, my wife, she helps spirits cross over by technically opening up a door and saying, hey guys, you want to go, you can go. Granted, not every single one of them leaves, but majority of them do. And some actually choose to stay, choose to protect the place now, choose to, hey, you got rid of the bully, thanks, now I can actually enjoy this place without fear of something trying to, imprison me or stop me from talking. Because we find that once I take the bully off the field, all the spirits all of a sudden want to talk now. They can talk now. The activity is higher through the spirit box and through our EVPs. All of a sudden, all of them are coming through, talking at a higher level, and they want to share their information or ask to be crossed over.
That's so interesting that you say that, because that is something that we have noticed for so long when we're investigating, that
oppressive spirits be everywhere.
They do be everywhere. My one experience that I know for sure Trevor's going to be like, yes, because it almost happened like 2 years to the day, because it happened on Easter Sunday. It happened on Easter Sunday. Me, him, and Jenna, and Chase, we went to Nunica Cemetery, and there is a legend of this blanket monster, right? I only know this because I watched a YouTube video. I forget the name of their channel. They're from Texas. I know that much. They came up here with a psychic to investigate that. And she sensed that the spirits were telling her that there's this like monster essentially at the cemetery, that once it gets like past a certain time, it comes out and it patrols the cemetery and doesn't allow any other spirit to talk. And if it does, it covers them in the fucking blanket and takes them away.
Yeah.
And the theory was that this blanket took the little girl ghost, Emily, who's said to haunt the cemetery's parents. That's why she could never find them and is always looking for them. I don't know. That's just what happened in that video. But then that night,
we ran into a lot of very wild occurrences.
A lot of the stuff that we were encountering was pretty lined up with that kind of thing. So,
yeah, because we find sometimes when we're trying to talk to spirits, when we first get to a location, that some of them say, no, I can't talk. He won't let me. Or you hear another, like, a very oppressive, someone saying, shut up, or like, get over here. Like, they're basically telling them to shut up, don't talk.
Right.
People are like, well, why would a spirit prevent other spirits from talking? Is because someone like me or someone of the essence that will clear out the dark things and stop them from their place of rule. The more people they talk to, the more they share the story, let people know it's haunted. So then that ruins their good time, essentially. Especially demons. Demons, they tend to feed off the negative energy of whatever's there. It's almost like a drug to them. What I find with oppression cases is that that's why they oppress certain people. They feed off the negative emotion, your negative energy, your sadness, your anger, your depression, your rage, everything negative of your emotions is like a drug to them. And that's why they get violent when someone chooses to push them away, take them away from their addiction. They get extremely violent. They get angry. They threaten the person they're oppressing, tell them, I'm going to kill your family if you tell them I'm here. Or I'm going to kill your mother, I'm going to kill your father if you tell them what's going on. So they don't mention anything. And the oppression gets worse and worse and worse to a point where, like, oh, I'm having so much fun with this person. Let me start pissing off the parents or other people in the house. Let me get this whole house riled up so I can start feeding off all of them. And then that's when they kind of show their hand, and it's only a matter of time after that before a priest comes in or a paranormal investigation team with a psychic medium or a shaman. Somebody knows how to clear it out, and then for breaking side, then they have to move on to someone else. That's the difference. Someone calls me, I reach in, pull it out along with its 2 other minions, clear out the person's mind forest of any fail safes, because I noticed that demons like to leave an impression of themselves in the person's mind forest, not a copy, but like a shadow of the actual entity. So I theorize that 2 reasons they do that is either to find their way back to the person, or like a marker saying to other entities, hey, this person's capable of oppression, go get them.
Interesting. Almost like a beacon.
Yeah. But with that failsafe still in someone's mind force, they can still experience nightmares, have negative emotions, and it takes a while to get over. But when I clear someone's place out, clear the mind force out, take any chance of portals anywhere in the home, it's permanent, and they never experience anything ever again. And also the wife, she remote views into the location and lays down a good positive amount of positive energy. She almost like embeds it in the soil of a house, home, preventing anything from really going there, kind of creating a shield. And that's what her main gift is. She can, she's, like I said, gifted and everything, but her main, most potent gift is remote viewing. She can go to anyone, anywhere, at any time, alive or dead. It does not matter. She finds them. You show her a picture of somebody, she knows exactly where they are, what they're doing, dead or alive. So if you want to talk to a dead family member, she'll find them and talk to them, ask them whatever she needs to. But this helps with the investigations, because if someone calls us asking to say their house is haunted, stuff like that, she remote views into their home, looks around, see what's there, see what we're dealing with. It tells me, okay, it's here, it's here, it's here. You need to check this spot. You check this spot. Okay. So when the person does a video call with me, I have them switch the camera around so I can see their point of view. They walk me around, tell them to stop, turn left, turn right, look up, look down. And I tell them, hold place. And then that's why I pull the entity from wherever I tell them to stop.
Yeah.
What is remote viewing? Megan does it in 2 ways. She astral projects and remote views. But remote viewing is your mind sees another place or another person. When you actually go there and are physically in that space, you're astral projecting to that location. Now, my wife can do somewhere in between. She does like a remote view and astral projection at the same time. Because if such situation happens where, like, say, the phone dies or the signal, our backup is Megan has learned to, and this is how she puts it, body bag an entity and bring it back here. What she does is basically throw a sack of light energy around the entity, picks it up, throws it to a portal, pops out where we are. I take it and put it in a ring. So it doesn't matter if it's me or her, we're getting that thing. And there's nowhere to hide. But it's kind of the backup. Now she doesn't like doing this, because in her mind forest, I had to build a giant prison cell that's like 2 stories tall, 20 feet long, 10 feet wide. There's a big old block of metal that doesn't have doors. And the only way I can open it is with my tendrils. They basically go into the front, open it like a safe lock, and I pull whatever's there. I built that in her mind forest because she stopped dropping it off here and leaving it in her mind forest, causing her headaches and problems and stuff like that. So I built that in her mind forest so she can drop them off, kind of like a holding cell before they go to the final prison. But that's why I said together, a formidable force. Yeah, together, most dangerous duo, you would say, when it comes to this stuff.
So, hide your demons, hide your skinwalkers. They're coming for you.
We're taking everybody.
Yeah, I don't.
They're snatching everybody up.
I give him a second chance. But I forgot what I was saying. We went off in tangents, and I know you guys like going on tangents. So
we love the tangents.
I'd say I've seen a couple questions that we could like quick touch to
before that, because at about this time every episode we like to ask one question, because everyone wants to know, if you could go to any location and investigate for the paranormal, what would that one location be?
Pavilia Island.
Yeah, we're all on the same boats.
That's mine too.
Yeah, that place is fucking
strong
nuts.
second place would be the Suicide Forest.
Ooh.
That's another one that I find very intriguing because, like, it's one of those, like, it's taboo. Like, it's, you want to go there for the right reasons, but it's also like people go there for the not the right reasons. So it's like, what we're doing isn't trying to like desecrate anybody's afterlife. We're not trying to desecrate anybody's grave sites or anything like that ever. And it's supposed to be all in respect, which it is in our book. I don't know about some other people's, but you know, it's one of those things where it's like you don't see people do investigations in the forest there, which it's like one of those places where I do think that there's just a ton of energy that just lives out there.
Well, I have a theory of why it's so damaged, why so many people go there to commit suicide. There might be multiple, or if not one giant one, negative portal in there that allows things that pop in and out. Because if I was a dark entity that was absorbing negative energy, that forest would be a buffet of
it's top tier right there.
Yeah, so it has to be something there generating enough negative emotion to make people want to go there to kill themselves.
Right.
And for any reason. Like the second you're almost called to it. And then when you're in there, you lose all reasoning and control of not doing it, and then you just go through with it very easily there versus anywhere else. So there has to be some kind of force, if not a negative pool of dark energy, basically generating that kind of emotion to basically push people towards it. Like they're feeding it.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thought, right?
And then
there.
the flip side, Pulvaglia, people were sentenced there against their will, basically forced to go there.
Yeah.
Nobody was happy to be there. I guarantee that because
and then they ran it back again after that, where it's like, all right, let's just dump dead bodies and ash in here and all that, and all the terrible corpses that are just gonna fester.
And then the crazy mad scientist that was there just testing, making people as test subjects, essentially.
Like it's insane.
Well, that ever since I saw it on Ghost Adventures, like that's where I want to go. Then I have my ability. I'm like, imagine the stuff I could do to that island, but they really don't let anybody on there anymore. I would have to find government to go there.
Yeah, I don't even know what. Like the only way you could get there is like find the most sketchiest person you can in Italy with a boat and be like, take me out there at 2 a.m.
Give me 200 rubles.
Foggy fucking day. I'll be out there for an hour and then come pick me back up. And then if that person don't come back to pick you up, you're fucked. Well, I think it's a mile from land. So
there's an experiment that I could try that probably would work because I didn't know I could do this until I did it. I was with a guy one time who had a drone and he was flying over a haunted location.
Yeah.
And I reached through his phone, his camera, and whatever the shot of a drone was basically shooting, I reached down and grabbed from that spot. So if you send a drone over Pavilia, I could essentially pull everything from Pavilia without ever getting on the island. In theory.
It's a very good point. I mean, like we just said earlier too, if we can realistically conduct an investigation on one of our live streams that we've done in the past and have all the activity that we had happen and all the stuff that I just once again can't explain, what is stopping that from happening too? Where it's like energy transfer is weird, if you ask me. Like radio signals, like microwaves, like radiation signals, like all that stuff, like it's all fucking weird.
Well, I think of it like folding fourth dimensional space because my phone is here, your phone is there, wherever it is. And when I pull, they're back to back, and I essentially just reach through and pull it from my side to the other. Because it's allowed me to help people in Australia, in Portugal, in England, in India, in Canada. I'm really big in Canada, don't know why. In all parts of the United States. It doesn't seem anywhere, it doesn't seem how far or time zone wise. If I can see you in real time, I can grab it.
Yeah.
But talking about the shaman thing. So we figured out that I must be some kind of natural shaman. Like I was born to do this. Like other shamans, they spent years learning, do meditation, do lesson plans, do all this stuff. And I don't need any of that. I don't need prayers. I don't need meditation. I don't need incense. I don't need trinkets. I don't need anything other than to be in the room with it, and it's done, said, over with. So I must be like a natural shaman. Like I was born to do this. Like
a cleanser.
Yeah. So that's where I got the name, because these shamans that were known to do this in the past were called shamans of war. Therefore, I'm a war shaman. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The first name I ever got, title, was I was talking to a woman in Australia. Her name's Peta. She's part of a team over there called Ethereal Sisters Paranormal.
Heck yeah.
And I basically, after the interview, this is around like 2020, so I was desperate to talk to anyone about my ability. Like, do you heard about this? Have you heard anything about it? Have you heard anything like this before? And she was like, you know what? It kind of sounds like my friend Jane. I was like, oh shit, I finally found somebody. And what Jane explained is that she's a psychic, she's a medium, but she has an extra gift that allows her to pull the positive energy and transfer it to the other side, essentially crossing spirits over. And she never does with anything dark. She's actually afraid of it. She doesn't want to deal with anything evil. But when she went to her shaman and asked her about this ability, what is it called? Her shaman told her, you're a psychopomp or a shadow walker.
Huh.
So psychopomp sounds like a hairstyle.
Not wrong.
Yeah. And so I was like, shadow walker, that makes sense, because I walk in the shadows and I take what's there. So that became my first name. It actually is my handle on most social media, the shadow walker. The second one was when I started looking at other faiths, other religions across the world to find any answers. And I came across a Native American deity called Earthmaker, or the Great Spirit in the Sky, right? And I remember I was talking about it to a friend, and he was like, if I'm looking at other religions, I wouldn't mind going to this one, Native American religion.
Yeah.
He laughed. He goes, well, if he's Earthmaker, wouldn't that make you Earth Shaker? And I was like, funny. And then I actually earned that one, because amongst pulling things in front of me, if I were to put my hand to the earth, I could feel the negative energy within like 100-yard radius of that point, almost like a radar system, right? Just picking up everything around. And I can also pull everything from that location, like I'll like throwing a giant net and grabbing all the dark energy, pulling up from the ground from that spot. And when I did that one time, the earth vibrated in the spot that I was pulling. And the people around me felt it. Like, oh, is the earth shaking? And I was like, ah. And then my friend laughed, like, you earned it. Earth shaker, right? So that became my second name. The third name happened, like I said before, the first oppression case. Well, me and my wife were looking at other faiths. We decided to look more into Nordic. We got a real calling to Nordic faith with the old gods, with Odin, with Thor, with Frey and Frigg and Tyr. And I decided, what? Let me make an offering to Odin. What could it hurt? Let's see what happens, right? So I did a simple offering, burying like a wolf tooth bone, some incense stuff, a couple of crystals in the ground with a simple offering. Say, All Father, protect me in battle, because I'm going into a location like that. Yeah. And I heard clearly, as I'm speaking to you, in my ear, Dranger. And I had to look at that word up. I looked around too. I was like, what the hell? I thought someone was in the backyard with me.
No, who's fucking with me?
Yeah. And I looked up that word. Dranger is a Nordic word. I think it's Norwegian or Swedish in that area. But it's essentially a word that Vikingers would say to another. Essentially means like badass or ultimate warrior. It was a compliment. Like, oh, dude, you're a Dranger. You went through those 20 guys like nothing. You're a Dranger. Or say a certain leader of an army, his best warrior would be called his Dranger. So that's became my third name, Odin's Dranger. Because if he calls me that, it's a big compliment. The fourth was, of course, War Shaman. That's where that attached to. The fifth is what they call me, what the dark entities call me, what demons call me. They don't call me Isaac. They don't call me Shadow Walker. They call me Order Keeper. I've been called that numerous times. Order Keeper. To which I tried to correct him one time, and he was just no. He looked at me like Order Keeper. So stuck.
So if a entity is talking to you, what is their voice? Like, does it sound human? Does it sound like how you would think? Like,
I mean, it's not as low as everyone thinks it is. It's not like guttural, like death metal vocal, like lows. That's not like that. Or even speaking like that weird. It's not like that. It's very
like the chanting voice.
Yeah, it's very sinister, very high pitched and sinister. The high rankers, I would say, they have a more of a mature, lower tone voice, but everything else sounds like I want to say like Gollum or like some kind of like sinister, like yeah, you talk like this. Hey,
Oh God.
right? They have that kind of like very scratchy, very high tone voice,
Yeah.
like a creature more than animal, but it's almost sometimes like whispers even. Anyway,
So what do you think brought this on though? Like this gift, like you said that this started like in 2020ish, right? So like, was there some type of event? Was there some type of, like awakening where you can like attest to what would have caused this awakening?
that mystery is in my sixth name.
Is
Funny
it?
yeah. So the sixth name is the most important of all of them because I had hernia surgery over my belly button like a year ago,
Oof,
April,
yeah.
April last year. And a friend of mine who used to be with investigator with us in a previous team, he had many surgeries over his lifetime because he had stomach cancers and he was under the knife a lot. He's in remission now. He's fine. But he told me, and he was very, very powerful psychic, very aged. Like like I said, he died a couple of those times on the table. And he said, when under anesthesia, you can go anywhere if you meditate hard enough. So I was like, well, let me try that. When I go under, I'll be under for about 6 hours. So let me see what I can do. Excuse me. And the night before my surgery, the spirit of my grandfather showed here. Not my grandfather from this time. My grandfather from when I lived in the early 1700s as a Cheyenne spirit warrior.
Oh
Showed
shit.
up here, talked to Megan, and told her to tell me, hey, when he goes under tomorrow, tell him to come find me.
Oh shit.
So with that intent in mind, with that entire time, by the way, have you guys ever had surgery before?
Yeah, I've had a couple.
The weirdest fucking experience. Like I never experienced like falling asleep and waking up in the same
Losing
second.
time. So
Hours.
weird.
Dude, it's fucking crazy. Anesthesia is the wildest
So
thing
weird.
ever. They're like, all right, count down from 10, 10, 9.
And
Like,
you
I'm
wake
just
up,
gonna
You're
give you
like
some
in
oxygen,
a
and then you
different
wake
fucking
up.
room. You're like in a different gown. You're like, what the fuck happened?
yeah.
You could have violated me.
Yeah, because I remember when I woke up, I was looking around. And my wife was right next to me on the bed, and she saw me. I looked at her. I was like,
Are we
I know
done?
my name. I know my name. I know what it is. She's like, shh, there's nurses here.
See, I woke up and I was like, you lied. Because they told me they're giving me oxygen. And I was like, that was not oxygen.
But from the 6 hours under, what I remember was me and him sitting in front of a cave, sitting on natural outcropping of rock.
Damn.
And there was a blue fire pit, like a fire burning between us. That was a like blue fires, blue.
Yeah.
Flames were blue. And he was sitting across from me, and he looked like a Native American man, like face paint on his head, like the headdress, like clothing, all that stuff. And I remember, all I remember from our conversation is he pointed at me, and said, "You are Ashwakanatunka, the Reaper of Souls.
Damn.
You are Ashwakanatunka, the Reaper of Souls." And I was like, all right. But that's all I remember. Because when I woke up from being under, that's why I turned to Meg and I said, I know my name.
I know my name.
And she was like, shh, they don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I'm the last airbender.
Yeah. Oops, at the camera. But that name is a Cheyenne legend because I've had a couple of past life regressions done. And that name is attached to the grandfather from that time, like I said, from the Cheyenne spirit warrior time in the 1700s. But what's strange about that name is that I investigate locations around here where we have Native American spirits, especially in the Crow-Toing National Forest. And I hear them over the spirit box call me that. I hear them say it over it. They say Ashwakanatunka. They say that over the spirit box. And of course, some native language I don't understand.
Right, yeah.
And it was also strange. Like, I'm on the East Coast. This is supposed to be a Cheyenne legend. Whole different native tribes.
Right, yeah.
Then my friend, Mike, who's an unknown paranormal, in northern Vancouver, central Vancouver, around Surrey, Surrey, Canada, investigated a Native American burial site over there. And he asked him, excuse me, I just ate dinner like an hour ago.
Got that heartburn.
Yeah. He asked them, I have a friend in America who has a certain name. I want to know what you guys know that name is. So he said his name is Ashwakanatonka. And within an instant response, he heard over the spirit box, ah, yes, he is king.
Damn.
So native spirits on two sides of the continent, and now supposed to be a central, Great Plains native legend, know the name. So there is mystery to the name that I don't know yet. And the only answer I have is with some kind of native elder who might recognize it. Because I've asked natives around here. I've talked to I've talked to an Apache guy, a Navajo, a Crow, different native people around this area where I live. Not one has ever heard of it. They have no idea. They say it sounds Algonquin, but other than that, they have no clue what the name means.
Yeah, I mean, like, how often on these investigations, or say, like, this is my wife, her desk is right next to mine. She might walk into the light and it might make the green screen funny. But like, how often do you encounter these like other languages or accents, like where it's like one of those, like, you can pick up that it isn't like a US speaking spirit or something like that? Because I feel like we've encountered a few times like people that have spoke native tongue to us as well. And like it's hard to like familiarize yourself with that when you don't know that language whatsoever. So it's like, oh, that was just gobbledygook. That's nothing.
Well, you remember North Carolina is one of the original 13 colonies. So this is one of the oldest states in the United States. So, and then we had pirates here, we had the Spanish here, we had every immigrant,
every walk of life,
countries here, and of course the native, the indigenous people who lived here before, they died and lived here. So
it's still a melting pot.
Yeah, of everyone. Because I've encountered spirits that from the 1800s or even from like 30 years ago. You can tell by the language they use and how they speak and stuff like that. But majority of them are just asking questions, and then you should hear them after I pull something, right? They go, "Holy crap!" or they hear "Wow!" or they go, "Oh my god!" Like you hear like their expression, like
the astonishment.
Yeah, they saw what happened. And then I even heard them like call me weird things over it. Like I remember one time they called me the seraphim, like a seraphim angel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, doesn't that mean like the bringer of the end or something like that?
No, seraphim are like a breed of angels. Like you got the different classes.
Is it? Okay, see, then I'm thinking of something completely different.
No, I was like, sorry guys, not an angel.
Not that.
Not an angel, guys. Don't worry about it. And then one of them saw me pull the entity, and I had the ring in my pocket, and I basically forced it into my pocket. And you hear over the spirit box, "Oh, he pushed it into himself." And I was like, no, it just, I have it right here. It's right here, guys. It's not going inside me. Because using the Estes method, Mike, like he was previously on my team, different Mike, because no paranormal team is complete without a Mike. He was a master at the Estes method. I gave him the nickname, the voice of the dead, because talking to him when he was under doing the Estes method was like I having a direct conversation with the spirits. It was that good. So anytime he would go under and we would talk, I would talk to what's there. And of course, he would be the one to basically revert back what they're talking about, what they're saying. They're calling out to me. They're asking to cross over. They're basically ratting out the demon or dark entity there. Hey, he's over there. The dark entity's over there. They're pointing, like saying in that direction. Take care of them. So, but that's what I've been doing for the last 3 years. Hence why I say I can almost guarantee you never heard anything like this before. And this is why I know a lot of investigators that we come in contact with are not all going to agree with this, because I'm taking away their bread and butter. I'm taking away their entire purpose of investigating. I'm making a location less haunted. And that's why I said I don't investigate. I go to clear. I know something's there. Investigators go to prove something's there. I know if something's there. And I don't care much for capturing footage or collecting evidence. I just care about going there and doing what I need to be done to help the spirits get peace. That's why there's not a lot of footage. We don't have a lot of we don't have a lot of pictures, a lot of footage, because we're not concerned about it, which is a problem, because I would like more people to believe what we're doing.
Yeah, it's like, I'll tell you this till my lungs are fucking done, though.
Even then, is there a way it would even prove it to make sense? Like, obviously, the one thing that like I could bring up in the paranormal,
I mean, setting up
right now
experiments would be cool.
is obviously the Cody and Satori stuff
That
that's going on.
blarky.
You know, because like they're under a lot of scrutiny for
Toe cracking.
their toe cracking. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll just say
I
toe
think what
cracking.
they're doing is a complete
A
hoax.
farce.
I never heard that term before. What does that mean?
So there's like how you can like crack your knuckles, right?
Yeah.
And how it sounds like a tap or pop if you're close or far enough away from a microphone. Like you can manipulate that sound by like doing it with your toe, which I just did it, but I can't do it loud enough.
Are they wearing
Like,
flip flops investigations?
They have
well, you
not.
can.
They've never done it with their shoes
Yeah,
off.
you can't see their feet when in these shots when they do it, but there's been a lot of speculation that like that they're doing that they're popping joints so that it sounds like somebody's making
Like-
noise or tapping, and that they're channeling people through them, and that it's all bullshit and a hoax.
Mm. Yeah, I don't like people like that because they ruin the name for everybody else. But
Definitely does.
I'm adamant about. It doesn't say help prove my case, but it does help. Is that I always tell everyone for my services that I offer to anyone and everyone, I
Mhm.
don't charge a dime, nothing.
Yeah, this is on me, dog.
I feel it morally wrong to do so. It's like a doctor asking how much can you pay me before I actually help and heal you.
Yeah.
I don't like charging people anything. That's why I said I feel it wrong to do so, and that's why I never charge anyone for any of my services whatsoever. If you need me to clear out your house, I'll gladly do it. You need me to clear out your mind force for you, I can do that for you too.
That's what me and Riley say, where it's like we won't ever like gatekeep. Like if somebody asks us to come do their house or something, it's like just because we don't make a video doesn't mean that we're gonna say no. Like realistically, it's like we want to help everybody we can, but we also don't want to go into a situation where we can't help and we make it worse for them. So that's where we have to like really draw the line and decide for ourselves, like, are we going to hurt their situation or are we going to help their situation?
And that's why I'm trying to make alliances with as much paranormal teams out there in the world. If you want to do your investigations, that's fine. You want to collect your evidence, that's even better. But at the end of the night, when it's time for it to settle everything down, give me a call, have me walk to the house. I'll clear everything out, ensure that the family is protected and well taken care of, and you guys can go on and show that footage whoever you want.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, realistically, like I don't think the paranormal is ever going to stop. I think the spirits are always going to be like prevalent. I think that maybe because we see more like older spirits right now, it's maybe because it's like the opportunity for religion and things that would probably keep people more tied to the lands back then were more prevalent than they are now. So if people are given the opportunity when they pass to move on,
I
maybe.
will elaborate on that because in the early 1800s, going into the early 1900s, and even into 1700s, paranormal was everything. It was people forget about every.
That's a good. That's a
believed
really
in
good
ghosts.
point.
Not I know someone who's a ghost hunter. Everyone believed in ghosts.
And then it got
Yeah,
weird.
it was like an after party thing. Like everyone.
It was
did
like a natural practice to do
Yeah.
seances.
it.
So
And
yeah,
that-
it's like the age of spiritualism. That's a very good point. Noel said it best, where it's like, man, like
people were so
forget
into it
about
they
that.
burned innocent people at the
Mhm.
stake for
Yeah.
accusing them to be a witch. All right, that's real history.
we
And
have
it didn't
full
just happen in
towns still
Salem.
dedicated
It happened
to
all over the place.
Speaking of which,
it.
that
Which is
is what they call my wife. That is what they call
really
me. Anytime we're over the spirit box, they can hear them. The witch is here. Like they're
wild.
again the witch. Of course, they call me Order Keeper or your Ashwa Kanatanka come over the spirit box. But when she's around, they call her the witch, and that's even in. She's heard the entities inside the ring call out to her like "Free me, witch," stuff like that.
Yeah,
Of course, she tells them to shut up, or she basically just tunes
yeah,
out.
just like whatever.
Yeah, leaves like shut up. I don't want to hear.
Commercial.
Yeah.
Back.
Mhm. Yeah, and it seems like too we've had experiences like that too, because like my wife is a newerly practicing witch, and then when we went to the tattoo shop, Riley, like she was actually a practicing witch too. So it's like we had two witches with us in that investigation, and then that's when we had the Mildred thing, and it said the witch is here, and I don't know if Mildred's a witch either. Like there's so many like weird like correlations to where I don't think like witchcraftery or any like type of like this mysticism that people are like so quick to denounce is like not actually like somewhat real.
Well, it's two sides of a coin.
Definitely.
Good, then you got your bad.
Yeah, I think you can definitely do like conjuring spells and like burning black candles and mirror scrying if you do it correctly. I think all those things are definitely like useful tools that you can use in that sense.
Well, the thing is, though, she's not really a practicing witch, and
No, yeah.
that's so funny that I call her that. But I always tell her, like, because she puts down spells of protection, but she uses her abilities to do so. So it's not like
Right.
she needs to.
It's like a natural ward built in.
Yeah, like I'm a natural shaman. She must be like a natural witch, but she chalks it up to because everyone who was psychic medium back a long time ago were called witches. So that's what she feels like. They just call her witch because of what she does. So.
I'll say that from what we were saying earlier. I just like that's completely correct. I just couldn't think of like how far back it went. I was like, it's a lot. It's been a long
It was
time.
the early 1900s. I believe it was like 1905 or something like
Yeah.
that. Shortly after, it was at like the peak of the spiritualist. Oh, I can't even talk right now. That
Words are
era
hard.
where people literally like every Friday night were going to go do a seance. Like
Mm.
Friday night happened. The parents were out with a babysitter watching the kids, and they were at some psychic medium's house doing a seance. Like that's just what
Ooh.
it was.
I have a good question. How do you feel about Ouija boards or like doing Ouija sessions? Do you think that those hold any validity, or do you think people are all just bullshit and it's a game?
No, I always am adamant about people not using them if you do
Yeah.
not know how. It's like a gun. You wave it around and
Oh
point
yeah.
it, blow someone's head off, and like, oh, I didn't know it would happen.
Yeah. Sorry, I got you like attached by a demon.
Because the Ouija board itself, if you buy one off Parkers and Brothers, it doesn't matter. You can build your own. It's the act of what you're doing is the problem. It's like yelling outside your door free beer and expecting everyone good to show up. You don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's not, if you don't know how to properly, go through the field of it, know how to close, know how to protect yourself. Yeah, it's fine. You can use it as a nice tool. But if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know who you're calling out there, who's going to show.
Yeah, definitely. You're just a beacon for anything at that point.
And that's why some of those those home cases I have done with Ouija board was involved. So
yeah, I don't doubt that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been a Ouija board that was used in the house way before anyone even got there. That opened the door for the spirit to enter at the home, and it just never left. Like
that was my first oppression case. Not first oppression.
Really? Yeah.
That was my first through the phone oppression case. It was an older gentleman, a war vet, I think from Vietnam, who listened to the show and liked, oh, these guys might be able to help. So he gave us a call. A guy named Barry Rick, man with 2 first names.
Yeah, saying 2 first names is always the best names.
He was suffering from his bedroom. Every time he came home from work, it looked like a tornado went through there. His bed mattress was flipped. All his shit was spread across the room. Like someone just went like smashing his whole room apart. And every single night he would leave for work, come back and be like that. And he got so frustrated and pissed that he just left it like that.
Yeah.
And figure out what was doing. And then he would see shadow figures in the mirrors. He sometimes felt like someone was like trying to choke him in his sleep.
Jesus.
He was attacked a lot. And then he finally heard the podcast. He was like, oh, these guys might be able to help. So he gave me a call. And he walks into the house. I end up pulling a human entity, a regular darker entity, and then a demon. And the demon is our first ever encounter with what we call the Cheshire demon. Is a demon with a giant grin like a Cheshire cat.
Oh, and shit.
That's what it looked like.
That'd be fucking terrifying.
And it wasn't like a shape. It was like a black mass of a cloud, but with a giant grin and little red eyes in the cloud. And I was able to grab it and pull it through. And then in the finding, he had a portal underneath his bed that I had to close. And he was in apartments. So it was someone on the bottom floor who had it on their ceiling, and he was underneath right in his spot. And what I think happened is that someone put it there with purpose and just left it. Like, yeah, I lived there before, opened it up, left it there, and totally forgot about it, and just left it, going. And of course, it affected him. So after closing that portal, taking those entities out of his home, clearing his mind forest out, he hasn't experienced anything ever again. He what you
don't mind me.
So don't.
Demon, we got one on camera.
The candy demon strikes again because she wanted my Swedish fish.
No. The way she was walking in, though, real creepy. Like
I was like confused for a second. I was like, "What is she trying to do?" And then I was like, "Oh, she could just totally get candy." That's. So
but
funny.
No, Barry. He messaged us. I think I talked to him last Christmas, and he was like, yeah, man. Ever since that day, like I haven't experienced anything. It's like I'm glad I heard your podcast, and he still listens to that. He like comments on Instagram, we posted new episode and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that was 2 years ago with him. But yeah, portal underneath his damn bed, and someone just left it there.
That's so crazy because like I have a throwback to one of our very, very, very early episodes with Anthony, like Riley, him and his dad a long, long time ago lived like in town still, and then once he moved out from his dad's house, he moved in with his girlfriend at the time into like her dad's house, and he was seeing, I mean, this girl who she was also like a practicing witch at the time. Well, when they broke up, she had underneath his bed in salt put like a pentagram basically, or like some type of satanic circle underneath his bed. And then after that, they started having like wild poltergeist activity, and like shit was getting thrown around the house, and they were seeing things in the night. And it's like, oh God, I 100% put stock in that.
Pentagrams usually don't always indicate darkness.
I don't know if it was a pentagram technically, but it was some type of like ritualistic circle that she had made, and like that's when the activity started.
Yeah. Especially made out of salt. Salt is the natural barrier for dark entities.
It was very odd.
Yeah. I know my wife, before, she figured out how to put a shield around the house, hence why we're protected now. Because before that, we would get bombarded every single night by something coming here looking for a fight. Like she literally wake me up in the middle of the night. I'd be sleeping, and she shakes me awake. Like, what? Like, there's something in front of the house. So I stick my hand out half awake and pull, and into the ring, and I go back to sleep. And that happened a lot of the time. And then she figured out how to generate essentially a shield around the house that's impenetrable. Like nothing can get in. It keeps. She literally hears them banging against it like glass, like banging against like bulletproof glass. You can hear them on the other side. And she tells me, "Oh, something's over there. You might want to grab it." But no, nothing bad has ever gotten in his home, which leads me to my theory about the ring. If the ring was your typical haunted object, it would be the most haunted object in the world for the fact of how much junk is in there. I say 87 demons. There's also a treasure trove of a lot of other things. I have 87 demons, 5 witches, 3 skinwalkers, 2 primordial entities, 7 elementals, 1 gen, 1 dogman, I think, and I have lost count of how many human entities I have in there. And just 1 demon alone in that ring would make this house terrible. We should be getting attacked, scratched. This place should be impossible to live in. But nothing's happened. Nothing. And this should have been obvious to me, but after like the 20th one. Why aren't we experiencing anything haunting? Because haunted objects, as we know them, they affect the people around them. From Annabelle, from Robert the Doll, from the Dybbuk box, all those things. Any haunted object you come in contact with can haunt your home if you bring it in. But this, nothing. So I had to think about it. And the only conclusion I can come up with, that makes any sense to me anyway, is that it's a access point to another world, another dimension, where all these things go and they can't leave.
See, I would I'd like to know, have you come across a haunted object yet that you had to pull something out of?
A lot.
How would you explain, like, how could you, obviously if you can, don't, but how would you explain that they used the object?
It's not essentially they're using the object, they're attaching themselves to it. So wherever the object goes, they go with it. And I have pulled walls of haunted objects before from people. I have taken out haunted objects away for fun. What I like to do, and this is going to ruin the day for a lot of people who have haunted objects. If you post it on TikTok, do a live, I can reach through the live and clear out all your dark haunted objects. And I've done that a lot, especially for investigators who are doing investigations. If they're at a haunted location, I'll reach in. If anything's dark, I'll pull it out of there and put it in the ring, helping them out without them even knowing.
Right.
I've done this a year and a half now, ever since TikTok started getting more popular for people who do lives. Because I can spin the tendrils, creating like a vacuum or tornado essentially, and pull, like I said, an entire wall of objects and clearing it all out. Granted, all the haunted objects that have a human spirit attached to it are still there, but all the haunted objects that have a dark something attached to it, I've taken, making it just an object now.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder though, like what you said, with like how the demon left like a shadow of itself essentially inside of. I wonder if they're doing that to the object as well that you can't get to.
I don't think so, because the object doesn't have a mind, a conscious.
Not a sentient being at
Yeah,
first.
it doesn't have, as we always call, a soul, an essence of itself. The whole reason why they oppress us in the first place are human emotions. It's like a drug to them, and this is why we are attacked more than anyone else, more than animals, more than any other species on the planet, because our human emotions allow us to feel high of heights and low of lows. You think about your memory. You remember your happiest times and you remember your worst of times. Those emotions burn into your mind and you remember them. So that emotion emitted outside of yourself, what other empaths pick up, of course, and that's what we feel when we die too, where you can feel the sadness of the dead, why you feel the joy of them, or like the anger or rage, because those emotions are still attached to them. And that's why they oppress us. That's why they go for us. That's why out of any dark entity in the world, demon, which a demon doesn't essentially have to associate with Christianity. The creature, the demon, has existed before Christianity was even thought of. So there's demons in Nordic faith, there's demons in the Japanese faith, there's demons in the Indian faith, there's demons in every single culture in the world.
Yeah.
Why would we think Christianity created them?
Yeah. Why do we think it's singular to one secular like religion or like sect of persons?
Yeah. The demon is essentially an
Makes
entity
sense.
that never was human, who is born of evil and hatred. And
I
who's
guess like my only like rebuttal to that would be like if like because I would say splitting consciousness isn't too like out of the realm of theories too, where it's like if you can compartmentalize like how I would like say this would relate would be like somebody who's like a murderer per se. They can split their like home life and then their killing spree life, where it's like, well, what happens if that person's reality splits off at that point? So like you're pulling the bad, but then does that second consciousness still linger in that place of being as well? So like another good example too would be say like somebody with multiple personality disorder. They don't know that there's multiple personalities inside of their head that's going on until it's diagnosed. What if they were never diagnosed back then? And then you pull one of those personalities, but then the other one's still there.
I've never encountered anyone with multiple personality disorders. And
Right. I just wonder.
I've encountered a schizophrenic mind.
Hmm.
I've been in that mind force before, or at least someone who was diagnosed with it.
Yeah, because I would think like the more fractured the mind state, the harder it is to like, because then it feels like you're pulling more like broken pieces, rather than just like a full like spiritual entity at that point.
Well, here's a story for you. The woman I helped out, her older brother was diagnosed with schizophrenia when he was young because he heard voices and saw people where they shouldn't be. Granted, this was the 80s, so they thought any psychic ability was a mental illness. So
Yeah.
saying, oh, you're psychic, you're medium, he's schizophrenic, put on this medication for the rest of his life. And she always wondered if he wasn't being haunted. Well, he wasn't have schizophrenia. Was he being haunted? Just to look. So I was like, I look at her. I look into his mind force, and it's a kaleidoscope. It's changing, the undulating. I can't get a clear picture until I yell inside his mind force, stop. And you hear my voice echo in there, stop, 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 stop. And all of a sudden, the scenery stops, and I can see just like an earth, like I'm in a forest in front of the woods. But the woods themselves are a giant tornado of dirt, mud, and wood spinning. And this giant demon thing is like in the middle of it with just his arms and his top torso and his horns like made of mud. And I reach in and I pull and I grab that thing. And when I'm pulling, it's from his mind force. You see like nighttime like come in, like it's like bleeding into the scenery. And then when I finally have him out, I go back to the mind force. It's nighttime now. It's quiet. It's at ease. And there's a little Indian woman wearing a purple dress with a red sash, ponytail, little jewel on her forehead. And she goes, oh my God, thank you so much. I go, what? What happened? It's like, this is the first time his mind has had peace in decades. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm like, what is your name? I think I got her name was like Shanisha or it's like Somalia, something like that. Some SA Indian sounding name. I can't remember exactly. And I basically helped him out. And then I told him, like, hell, if you want to take him to schizophrenia medication, it might change everything. Maybe he was never schizophrenic. Maybe they thought he was because he was hearing voices and, of course, seeing people who were dead. I'm not saying every schizophrenic case is dealt with this kind of situation before, but that made me wonder how many misdiagnosed mental illnesses in the world were something else, but we just saw it as that because we had no other explanation.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It is so deep.
I've always
and, like
I've
it's
always
so
kind of
wild. I love this.
wondered that as well, as like just because of like human history and like how we've treated people that are different over the course of decades and decades and centuries, of how we've just treated people that are different. Like maybe we're just not fully understanding that they're more woke than us. Like that's and some people, you know, get the eviler end of the stick because, you know, something decides I'm going to attach myself to you because it's an opportunity for me.
Yeah. And my wife she explains oppression and possession in this way. Oppression, and for anyone who's what the hell is oppression, demonic oppression, is the demon trying to break you down emotionally until you're weak enough that you give up all will, and then it takes over your body. Then that's possession. So oppression, she describes it as like your body is a car and you're the driver. Your soul's the driver. And the demon is literally trying to steer you off the driveway. He's trying to tear you out of the driver's seat. Like he's trying to get you out. That's oppression. Possession is he threw you in the trunk, locked it, now he's driving. And then it takes someone like me to pull up next to him, rip him out of the entire driver's seat, put you back in it, and then take him off to, you know, demon prison. But that's my final test. I've yet to come across anyone possessed. I'm talking fully possessed. Like you have to tie them to the bed. They're the room shaking and shit. Possessed. I've yet to encounter anybody like that. Oppression cases, they're a dime a dozen. But possession, no. And I need to know if I can pull a demon out of someone who is fully possessed. Is it possible? In theory, it could be, because if they treat the body like a haunted object, I'll just pull it out of them. I don't know. I don't know until I actually encounter and try.
Right. like say like they do get to that next level of full possession, like who knows what kind of lock that they have over, you know, other things now. Cause like, gosh, it makes me think of like movie type stuff, you know, like you gotta kind of think in that realm sometimes and come up with these theories. But like, what if it's like there's some type of mold between the physical and metaphysical, essentially, that like bonds them to where they couldn't be separated, and that's why it's so difficult. But I mean, there's, you know, cases of priests like banishing a spirit during full possession, so maybe it's just you don't have to go through the whole spiritual route of it, and you kind of have that quick shortcut just to just grab them and pull them out. I don't know.
And one of the I've told you a lot in this short time we've been together so far, but one question that evades people that never think of asking, how long does it take me to do this?
Yeah, that is a really, really good question.
Yeah. My record time, my average time for pulling entities from somebody's home, pulling their mind force, making remote viewing in, and laying down some positive magic, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
30 minutes. I'm faster than some delivery pizzas out there. 30 minutes.
How taxing would you say that 30 minutes is on you, though?
Not very.
No.
Like any muscle you work out enough, you get strong enough that you can lift more weights. So I've been doing this for 3 years. Now, granted, the stronger the entity is, the more taxing it can be. It makes my forearm muscles ache. My hand aches a little bit after every pull, but nothing like my arm's dead. I can't use it.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was like that. Then, like after investigation, like my arm would feel like I lifted, like I did like 100 curls, and then like I had one of those squeezer things. I did it like over 1,000 times. I couldn't grip anything. But now, no, I can do investigation. I did an investigation, a home pull, and a mind clearing in one night. Just because we got done back from investigation, I had a friend call me, hey, I need some help with something, and then I had to clear the person's mind at the same time. And I just like I did all 3 of those in one night in about 2-hour span. So, granted, next day I was like a little sore, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
But no, it's doing that like I have for 32 cases. I've gotten good at it, and it's a lot faster if I was in person. But like I said, I can't travel everywhere, anywhere when someone needs help at
I
that time.
wish we could.
Yeah. Wish I could just like fly over to where you are and help you in person, but
Right.
no, that's usually I have people help me out by either walking around. This is why I've been on a mission this year to get on as much paranormal podcasts as I can everywhere. Because one of my biggest regrets right now is not enough people know who I am. Not enough people know who I am so I can help them. There's people out there that go through a priest, go through a paranormal investigation team, go through a shaman.
They don't even know who to go through.
Yeah. And they go through all those people and they're home for haunting and nothing has been better. And then they get on phone with me 30 minutes later like it never happened. And they get frustrated at the fact that why did I know about you? Why didn't I just call you first? Like I got to save myself so much headache. And I was like, yeah, I know. Hence why like I don't care about fame in a sense of for being famous. I care about notoriety of being known. So people can call me in cases of this happening. Like you're dealing with something in your home, possession happens, people die. I can stop that from happening. I can make sure it never happens to anyone ever again. Paranormal teams go into an investigation, something bad happens. They get scratched, they get pushed, someone gets oppressed or possibly possessed. You call me in a situation like that, video call me, show me through the place, I take all dark entities, you go on with your investigation without any worries of being attacked. Simple as that. And I'm not a hard person to get hold of. I'm available majority of the time for a simple 30-minute call.
I tell you what, the next investigation we go on, I definitely want to see this in action. Like we will set up a FaceTime or something and like experience it with you just to see like
definitely.
As I said, see, you got to have the right stuff for it. Feel, you will feel.
Yeah.
And that's the best evidence I have for anyone. There was a couple of guys who I work with that came with me on an investigation. We did this big Halloween live investigation from a place over here called Patsy's Pond. It has all these natural sinkholes, so it's a lot of energy trapped in that one location. And after the night, they first went into the place, fight or flight the entire time. They were scared. They didn't know what's going on. They heard growling. They heard whispering. They heard like over the spirit box. They felt like this place is bad. I don't like it. And by the end of the night, after me and Megan did our thing, they were like, Isaac, I don't know if I believe in the paranormal, but I believe in you. The energy, the vibe has changed like dramatically. Like I came in here, I was scared. Now, like we could stay here all night just hanging out. Like it doesn't feel the same when we came in. I was like, yeah, that's the only real way I can show you anything. And that's what other investigators have felt. They felt the vibe change. Like they know they have that almost sixth sense feeling of something dark is here. And your fight or flight kicks off like, I don't know what's going on. And then I pull that away and it disappears. That feeling gone. Because like there's nothing to be afraid of now. Especially for experienced investigators who've been doing this a long time. You know the sensation when you go into location. The vibe's all off. And then I can take it away, and then it changes. And then you feel the change happening. You're like, okay, now I know this guy's doing something.
Yeah, I definitely can pick up what you're putting down because it's like 1,000,000%. It's like we always tell people you'll feel like the energy shift as if it were like walking into electric cobwebs. And then it's like it's one of those like blanketing effects that your body just picks up on. Like you are a walking sensor. Like it's hard not to say that when you feel something sensually that's off, that it is 100% your body alarm going off.
And I would say, if you're going to take me anywhere, take me to the worst place that you can think of. The absolute worst. Because I don't want an easy test. I want your hardest.
Yeah, let's see if we can't break the bank.
That's my challenge to everyone. If you don't believe me, take me. Prove me wrong. Take me to the worst place you know. The most demon-infested, darkest fucking place you can think of. Take me there. And I'll show you what I do.
Because challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Trevor, I think you know the spot I'm thinking, Mouse Cemetery.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure too. I was just gonna say I'm like almost 100% positive you were saying what I was already thinking.
We have this cemetery that we went to, and we've showed it off. You've probably seen it, the shadow figure that we caught it. I would like to take you there to see if you can pull that thing away, because there is actual death like surrounded behind potentially that figure.
Yeah, or like at least the
like years
local
before we
lore.
went there, but like the legend of the cemetery is that there used to be this chair that was called the Devil's Chair, and a kid sat in it, and a year later, on the exact day that he sat in it, he died.
Yeah, and it said that the person that donated the chair had lived it like very close to this cemetery. The cemetery itself is on Native American burial grounds that were at war with other Native tribes in the area, and then also
Which
he was.
you're skipping out a huge part of
I
that.
am,
They didn't
and,
just go to war; they poisoned the
yeah,
water
they did a lot more
to
than just go
kill
to
the
war.
other tribe.
Yeah, and then
This is on the same land.
this book writer / scientist was also big into the paranormal as well, and he would realistically more fall into the line of like occultism, I would say. So like they think that some type of like ritualistic thing happened potentially to the chair that caused it to have the like bad like stuff that was the juju that made the juju go.
I'll do it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's
We've had very wild experiences there for sure. Like my wife caught 100% what we think is the Reaper, like that just frequents there.
we
The first
truly
time we
think
got
that
out of there, people were
actually
screaming.
like the actual Grim Reaper.
Pops in every now. I agree.
about it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all you got. Is just yeah.
No, it was like it was about it. So there's only one street lamp there. And when I took this photo, everyone that was with us was behind me. So there's no way anyone could cast a shadow. And it was about as tall as the street lamp.
Which was about 9 to 10 feet high.
No, it's not. It's like 6 feet.
Yeah.
16
6
feet.
feet.
What are you talking about?
I don't
16 feet?
know.
I don't know, maybe.
It's huge, okay? It's huge.
I mean, the entity itself was probably more like 9 to 10 feet, though.
And you can like see
Yes.
like in
The
the
lamp
in
is
like
16 feet tall.
Yeah.
when Riley enhanced the photo, you could see that it was wearing like a hood.
Like it's very odd.
Yeah.
Never seen any. Well, there was a hooded figure my wife caught on camera, but it was person. Looked like wearing a hoodie. They were very white, misty, like.
Really?
Yeah. There's a park over here where we live, no more than 5 minutes away from the house, called Northeast Creek Park. And this is why I never argue with Megan ever again on why we go to a location. She gets a calling to a location. Okay. And after that park, I say I don't, because like I told her in the beginning, this park's not even known for anything. There's no famous hauntings. No one's ever talked about this place being haunted. There's no stories or anything. No, we've experienced the most haunted things ever at that location.
Yeah.
Seeing lights in the tree line, from hearing growling, from seeing shadow figures, from finding witches' brooms hanging in the trees.
That's pretty wild.
And then also finding these 4 burn marks in the ground at the beginning of the trail that wasn't there when we started. And then this tree branch was about 2 stories up on the top of a tree, broken down on the ground next to it. Right? Because we started the way Northeast Creek Park is like imagine like a giant football field.
Yeah.
And there's wooded forest all around ringing it almost. And so it's like you park in a parking lot. There's like a baseball court or a soccer field and a baseball field thing in the back of it. But in front of it is where the trail is, and it's like a semicircle. So like you start on one half and you work your way around to the other side, and it has that kind of trail, and that trail is woods, and that's the trail we take. There's also a wooden bridge kind of thing that goes off over the swamp that's right next to the trail that goes off into the water and then connects back to the trail on the other side. So if you wanted to take the trail or you want to take the wooden bridge thing, you can, just depending on what kind of scenery you want to see. So one of the nights we went, it rained the night before, so it was a lot of muddy and it was kind of flooded. And Megan was wearing the wrong shoes. So we took the wooden bridge spot, made our way around, did our investigation, and making our way back. And we were making our way back. Mike, who was with us, said, "Hey, stop." And we noticed in the middle of the wooden bridge thing, there's this board flipped upside down with nails shooting up. Like if you walked on it, you would step right on it and get like
an ouch.
That wasn't there when we started. Someone put that there.
Fuck that.
With intentions of hurting us.
Yeah.
11:00 at night in the middle of the park, no one's out there. No one should be out there.
Yeah, realistically, nobody should be.
So we tossed it into the water, and then we made our way back to the trailhead. That's where we found all those burn marks, 4 of them, in a weird, like, kind of semi-triangle pattern, and with a tree branch broken off. And that wasn't there when we started. We looked back in the footage because saw us walking through. It wasn't even there. So, like, where the hell did this come from? From that?
Yeah,
We're down at the other end.
that's really weird. You know, it's like, what? How can I logically explain away this type of thing happening in correlation to the timing? Like, it's one of those, like, I don't think it's just a coincidence things. Like, I think it's definitely like in correlation to your presence being there, and it's something trying to alert you of like, hey, go the fuck away.
Me and Mike were saying that could be an alien ship that landed. Right?
You think?
It looked like it. It looked like this perfect circle that there was maybe 3 feet in radius, in a weird pattern, like a ship landed there, burned into the grass, and took off.
I mean, there's other accounts too of like very famous accounts like that happening where it's like I in particular I can't think of the one name, but like he said that like the guy had burns on his stomach basically because of the ship, and it's like exhaust fumes. And the same thing, there was like a circle in like this like dense forest where it no longer would grow grass because of it, and it's like he was like irradiated from it. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I put a lot of stock in like these extraterrestrial potential sightings of like things in the wilderness like that, where it's like, yeah, it would make sense.
I say that because we went back there another night, and I wanted to see if Mike could make contact if the alien entities that were there, and using the Estes method to do so. So we walked on one end of the park in the field, mind you. He sat on the grass, he put the headphones on, and he started listening in. Because a couple times we were there before, he would get these weird signals through the spirit box that sounded like static and high-pitched robotic noises that he couldn't explain. He said it didn't sound human, it sounded really weird.
Yeah, like extremely robotic almost. So it's like, how?
Like this, it's like he's like, I get his weird noises through, and he let me listen to it, like bing, 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 and then you hear like like weird sound, like robotic coming through. And like, what the hell is that? We just thought maybe interference or something. I don't know, but I thought, let's see. So we went to the park with the intent of contacting alien entities to see if it's even possible. And I remember I said my intent. I said, if you were here, who was here last? Who left those burn marks in the grass? And that sound went off. Mike heard it. Oh,
that's weird.
And then he said he heard like there's almost like the spirit box go dead, like no one was talking. And he was like, it's silent. And then I say, who was here? And they said, we were. And he was saying, this is Mike talking as in the Estes method. And I said, where are you from? Not this world. Not this dimension. Not this dimension. Not this world. And I said, do you know? That's
specific too.
Yeah. And then I asked them, do you know who I am? And they said, yes, Ashwakanatunka. So they know who I am. I was like, all right, shit, let's go with this. Why are you here? To observe, to watch. All right. And it said, what dimension? It said, you do not know, and nor can you comprehend. I was like,
that's so wild.
I said, what is your intent? They said, to watch you, to watch everyone. And I was like, and then I said, do you have ill intent? They said, no. And I said, can we contact you again here? He said, yes. I think I asked something of like what world or what do you see? And they said something, I remember like light or something. And then they mentioned the source. They said the source. And then they said, oh, pray to the source. But it wasn't like telling me to pray to the source. It was like an acknowledgement of talking about the source. Like,
yeah, like they were praising that.
Yeah, the source. Oh, pray to the source. It's kind of like that inflection. At least that's how Mike said it. And then after that, the signal went like that computer sound again, and then dead. But what's weirder on top of it is that when the signal went dead and Mike pulled his headphones off, like spirit box is gone, I don't hear anything. And we see this ball of light shoot up on the other side of the woods that we thought was a flare. It looked like someone fired a flare gun up into the sky. Like, oh, someone's firing a firework or flare. But it was a ball of light that floated up, stood there for a second, then shot off into the sky.
That's so wild.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Like, excuse me?
My wife saw that too. She's like, you see that? Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh shit. And we were thinking, was that like a radio? Was like their way of contacting us with actually physically being here? Was that like their way of like, that's their walkie-talkie essentially? I don't know. But that was
Right, yeah.
a really weird experience with any kind of alien activity.
I mean, shoot, like that's pretty wild to me, like me and Riley ourselves have had some very peculiar like extraterrestrial experiences ourselves, and I put a lot of stock in that. Like these encounters that people are having that are more also like spiritual as well are very on the realm of like, yeah, we can't comprehend what those experiences are yet, because like we don't know if these beings are consciously on the same realm as us or not. Like it's one of those things too where if we physically see these things happening, it's like how do we comprehend them if we see them? Like it's
We
something that
can't.
your brain has to
We're
process.
incapable of ever comprehending it.
Exactly. Like
The best way I can put
wild.
it, of course, is Ghost Dog's way of the stacks of paper on top of each other that are
Yeah,
just
the ever
dimensions,
folding,
ever folding in every direction on top of each other.
and they slap next to each other.
Yeah, and sometimes you can reach through them.
Well, I theorize how my ability works because I can't pull something that's not here, right? The energy that takes them to be here is the same energy they pull from your batteries during investigation, and the lights flicker, all that. The energy that need to move something or be scratched or be heard on the outline, that energy is when they're here. That's when I can grab them. I can't reach into the
Yeah.
other side and pull them through. That's like when they're on the ether. And I always say, well, me and my wife theorize the ether is like the dimension between ours and theirs. So if ghosts and spirits and everything else are on the fourth, we're the third. That space in between is the ether, which allows them to be here,
Yeah.
at the same time.
Right. And maybe that's where the theory of like time traveling and like the wormhole theory lies, where it's like there's that ethereal plane that we don't know yet, that's what these entities are using to fucking transport themselves through and from wherever they need to go, whenever they need to go. I don't know. It is all theory at this point, I feel like, but I sound crazier and crazier every time we do these fucking episodes.
I remember I heard some investigator talking about like that if spirits aren't spirits, they're just like a split in time. Like they're in the past or they're in the future, and they're thinking we're ghosts and we're there, and they're
Yeah,
ghosts.
it's like the Spider-Man thing where it's like you.
And I thought to myself, you better hope that's not true. Because
Yeah.
I'm taking people out of time.
Yeah, where it's like where that footprint is now being erased from that point in time. Like, what the fuck is happening?
I'm not just pulling demons and dark entities. I'm pulling human spirits, negative people. If you're an asshole in life, you're an asshole in death.
Thank you for saying
100%.
it. Everybody knows. I feel like it's one of those general terms that every paranormal investigator, in more words or less words, knows this fact at this point, where it is like set in stone. Like that's one of the concrete pillars where it's like, if you were a cockhead when you were alive, I don't doubt that you're still gonna be a cockhead afterwards.
And a lot of them stick around because they are afraid of judgment. They're afraid of what they might experience on the other side, so they stay here.
Yeah, like, am I gonna be judged for my actions here? Oh, well, then I'd rather just keep fucking off here.
Yeah, messing with other ghosts and spirits.
Exactly.
Bullying them.
I'll hold dominion where I was already holding dominion before.
Yeah, there's a library. Me and the wife investigated with previous team. Moorhead Web Library in Moorhead, North Carolina. Then we find out that there was 3 human entities that were bullying the rest of the spirits there. Because I started ripping them off the plane, and Mike, who was our resident psychic, the elder one, he was like, "They're afraid of you." I was like, "Who's afraid of me?" The spirits said they're afraid because you took them off the plane, so you must be a bigger bad. And I said out loud, I will not take you off this plane if you are if you're a positive spirit. I only take negative. You have nothing to fear from me. I said that out loud so the rest of them could hear me. And then he said, "Oh, okay, the vibe changed. They're not afraid. They understand now." And then the second time you went, we kind of had a mass exodus of all the spirits that were there. Megan basically opened up a portal, essentially, allowing all of them to leave. Granted, not all of them left. I think a few stayed behind. A doctor, because that place at some point in time was a hospital for tuberculosis during the time of the crisis. He chose to stay behind because they felt like it was his office, like his doctor's office. A few of the spirits, and then mostly everybody else left. But I felt immense amount of power with the right hand. Like I pulled entities that send the charge all the way up to my entire arm. But I've never felt anything that power on the left, except for this
Yeah.
one time at this location. Because when all these spirits were leaving, everything was leaving all at one time. All of a sudden, my left hand started charging, and then the energy I felt up towards the ceiling almost, and then my whole entire left arm, all the way up to my shoulder, was charged. Like, what is that? Like that's like something very powerful on the positive side of energy. My only conclusion, at least the first thought that came to my head, oh, this has to be an angel or something. Like it's witnessing all these spirits leave. Obviously, it got its attention, and it's watching everybody go. Well, that's the only thing I can possible. Because if the powerful negative is a demon, then the powerful positive must be an angel, or possibly a god of some kind. Because I don't subscribe to the idea of one God in charge of everything. I believe every God that's ever been worshipped exists. Whoever you choose to follow is the one you go after, or like you choose to worship, pray, and stuff like that. So it could be any deity and stuff like that out there. But that's why I said I don't call myself a Christian or anything of the essence. If you had to classify me as something, I would say Nordic, because somewhat the Nordic gods have my back, because I've been using Nordic runes as symbols of protection. Like in people's mind forests, I burn in the ground sometimes if someone needs it. The Algis rune, which is the rune of protection. Looks like a Y with a line through it. I burn that with my tendrils into someone's mind forest floor, another symbol of protection. It's a symbol meant to ward off negative energy. So if the person needs it, I'll put that in there for them. And I often find if I draw it on my pinky where I wear the ring, it doesn't hurt. But if I don't, that area of my pinky feels like I need to pop my knuckle the entire time I'm wearing the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you not wear the ring unless you're performing
I guess you could call it a ritual almost, but not really. A cleansing?
No, I don't wear it if I don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be one of those things that I wouldn't either.
Investigations, I'll wear it. But if every day other than that, I have it sitting in a bracelet made of hematite that's sitting in the center of that, surrounded by pieces of obsidian and tourmaline, along with some other stones. Essentially, it's in a giant.
You basically have it caged.
Yeah, every protection stone is surrounded by.
It's a cage inside of a cage.
Yeah.
It's incepted inside of an incepted cave, inside of another cave, inside of a prisoned cave, inside of a prison.
Yeah, layers of
got there.
I thought about building a box for it like a couple of years, last year or a year or 2 years ago, but I'm like, I really don't need it.
Would you consider that a Divik box at that point because it's housing a demon?
Well, I would
Demons.
Demons.
Yeah, I would build it to be like a Faraday box. Like
a Faraday box is actually a way better way of saying that.
Yeah. When it's closed, the most powerful psychic in the world would not know what's inside. I open it. Oh my god, what is that? Yeah, like I want.
It's like opening like one of those traps
Pandora's
in
box.
Ghostbusters, and it's just like.
But no, it's so far. I mean, if I put the ring in your hand or anyone without abilities, you wouldn't feel anything from it. Well,
yeah,
you hope you don't feel anything from it.
Right.
A psychic and medium, they instantly get, oh shit, what the fuck is in there? Like they get they hear screaming and yelling, or it feels evil in their hand. At least every psychic medium that I've shown it to. But regular people, like a couple of people I knew from work, like, hey, can I see it? And like put it in their hand, like, there's nothing going on. It's like, well, that's a good thing then.
Yeah, like don't feel bad about it. Like I don't think you want this, honestly. That's why I tell people a lot too, is like sometimes it'll sound like people are like asking to be scratched or like for bad things to happen to them on investigations. And it's like, I mean, I get wanting the experience is fine and dandy, but then it's like, is it a good idea to invite that? I don't know. In certain situations, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Buttons, you are getting ridiculous.
Dude, he is turning into a literal camera monster
tonight.
He said, I want all the screen time.
That's me.
He might be worse than a demon. I'm not going to lie.
He'll bite me when I try to leave because he's just a cat and he just doesn't. He loves attention so much that little
can't
fucker
leave
will
him.
literally get pissed when you're trying to walk away from him. and it's intensely hilarious.
I'm a cat person myself. I have a dog, but he's small enough that you probably call him a cat. It's a Chiweenie.
Oh, Chiweenie, just a
yeah.
little guy.
Well, I wanted a cat. My wife wanted a dog, so we compromised and got something that was somewhat in between.
Yeah. Yeah, you saw Lulu earlier, but we got 2 cats too that run around and fuck shit up and absolutely destroy my house.
And no, if anyone's thinking that in their head, he has not seen any ghosts or reacted to anything. It's like he's blind and deaf to all of them for some reason. Even
So
though
is he.
it's consistently experiencing shit.
He is the
That's
one
so funny.
that causes all of my chaos. Well, we are wrapping up to that 2-hour mark. We want to thank you so much for coming on to our show. If you haven't yet, make sure you go follow and subscribe to their podcast. Can you find your podcast on all of the platforms, or are you just on YouTube?
Anywhere you listen to the podcast, anywhere.
Hell yeah.
Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio.
That's what we'd love to hear.
Yeah.
So make sure you go do that. Listen to all their episodes. You'll probably learn
Check the
a little
catalog
bit
out.
more about your experiences, because you said you've had a couple of your clients on the podcast. So
different testimonials. We call them testimonials. But people
testimonials. There we go.
Give their
love
experience. Dal's being the most proficient out of all of them, but we have 3 other. Only 4 people out of 32 decided to share their story. A lot of people don't want people to know this stuff happened to them, so they're like,
fair.
Understandably.
So we're like, okay, whatever. But then also, if you want to know more about my ability, I have a 6-part series, the Shadow Walker series, 1 through 6. Each are about an hour long. Me going here the evolution of my ability up to what it is now. Because after everything I just told you, the 2 hours so far, I still have a butt ton of more stuff that you've yet to get to. Probably take a long time if ever to do a full podcast talking about it from end to end. It'd probably be 6 hours.
Yeah.
But
plenty of content.
Yeah, I go through the whole series. You hear my evolution of my ability. Megan has an episode talking about her abilities, what she sees, what she feels, what she goes through. But she's actually releasing this Friday an episode where she goes through spiritual awakening and what she felt about her abilities, how to get stronger, and how you too can go through almost the same process and awaken if you do have any dormant psychic abilities. She's Friday. But
very interesting.
You're definitely gonna want to see that and tune in to all that, dude.
Yeah, and you will definitely want to stay tuned to our Instagram page as we continue to have votes for the bumpies. I believe I posted one earlier today for the bumpiest haunted location that we visited. So make sure you go hit that poll. Make sure you go to the poll for the bumpiest guest that's still live till Friday. Then it'll be archived, and you'll have to wait till May 22nd to see who wins that bumpy award.
Because fucking rights. It's gonna be a fucking blast. We already know. You already, if you haven't yet, I will strongly advise go check out the original bumpies that is in the catalog in the YouTube archives of our YouTube channel. And it is really worth a watch because it's pretty fucking funny. I'm not gonna lie. It's comedic gold, at least I think so. I'm biased about it, but like realistically, we're just a couple of hoonigans putting on a show. And it's just like, you're going to want to see it. Definitely.
You definitely will. And again, Isaac, thank you so much. Hopefully next time that we have you on, or we come on your podcast next too, that would be freaking awesome. We'd love to talk to Megan too a little bit. If we could, line that up, that would be really cool in the future.
Yeah, getting her I have the gift of gab, so that's why I do all the interviews.
Understandably.
Yeah. But you're getting her on is because we have a son who's 7 years old, so she's either watching him, not asleep at the time. And yes, our son is already showing abilities. You combine me and her together, you're going to get kids with abilities. So he's already showing them at his age.
My 4-year-old is as well. So it's like, yeah, it runs in the bloodlines. I really do believe it.
Yeah. But hopefully we get her on or get you guys to come on ours.
Heck yeah. No, always down. We'd love to.
We're always down to return the favor for our guests. 100%. Well, with that being said, folks, remember to keep your ears and eyes open for what really goes
bump in the night. Mwah. You're beautiful. Love you.